Hey, what's going on everybody? This is TwoHeadedFlounder. Welcome back to some more post-rotation deck profiles. Before we get underway, I want to mention that the deck at the moment does say 62 cards. I'm going to be going over some cards in the video that I think are good substitutes for others, and you're going to have to wait and find out what those cards are. So, with all that being said, I wanted to take a look at Melmetal-GX today. I think this card has a lot of potential. It is big, it's a stage 1, so it's not too hard to get out, and it has a very annoying ability with a very strong attack that is definitely going to get 1 to 2 shot KOs in the new meta, and I think that is overall pretty great. So positive stage 1, 220 HP, that's on the higher end for stage 1, so that's really good. And then hard coat, this Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attacks, so effectively it's like 250 HP Pokemon, and if they hit this for anything lower than 30, they're not even touching us. So I think that this is really annoying, especially early game if they don't get something going extremely quickly. Metal Blast does 110 damage, so that's also a good plus right there. And it only gets stronger, and it can only be stronger in this deck because we only run Metal Energy. The attack does 20 more damage for each Metal Energy attached to it. So of course we're going to have 4 to attack with. That's 80 more damage. That's 190 base damage. That is insane. It has a really solid GX attack in Iron Force. Attach any number of metal energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. So if we had another one faint with 4 energy to it, we come up with a new one, use it, and then we're ready to go from there. It has a 4 retreat cost, which is insanely high. So you could use something like buff padding for this, which is actually not a bad idea at all, especially seeing how it's already at 220, so getting to 260 would be pretty solid. Here is the one glaring weakness, and it is actually its weakness: fire. So after rotation, people are going to really gravitate towards fire, I assume, because of cards like Welder, Fire Crystal, Fiery Flint, and just a plethora of extremely good fire type Pokemon that can again be used with Welder to make good fire decks. Seems like a strong positive way to go. So this might never have a time to shine because of that, but if there is some wiggle room and people are going more along the lines of Pikarom or something, even though it does resist metal, if they're going a different route than fire, then I think Melmetal has a great opportunity to present itself. So of course, that being said, we're playing a 3-3 line with the actual promo Meltan. The other one has a weird attack that I guess if you go against another metal deck, it could be useful, but it's not really good. But we want the multiply one. Search your deck for a Meltan, put it onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. If we have a terrible start with no supporters, nothing to work with, we're going to want to multiply and stay in the game for a little bit longer just to attempt to do something. So that's why we're running that one. And all of the rest of the Pokemon in the deck are support guys. We have a copy of Ditto to help evolve into, of course, Melmetal. But we are also playing a Slowking. This is our out against fire decks, hopefully. Psychic does 60 plus 20 more for all the energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Assuming that they're fire and assuming that they have at least 3, we're probably knocking them out, and that's pretty solid. I like that. Of course, Charizard Reshiram would require the 4th one, I do believe, to bring it up to 140, which would then hit for 280. So they would have to be fully established, but still hitting for numbers is just a good thing, especially in a deck like that gives up 3 prizes. So that is why we're playing Slowking, and of course we're going to be playing this Slowpoke. It presents another opportunity to attack something that's weak to water, right? So we're going with the cute one in the pool. Next up, for our support guys, we're playing a 3-3 line of Magnezone. Magnetic Circuit pretty much is the Luge, or Fiery Fandango, or whatever effect you want to call it. It lets you play the energy from your hand as long as you have it. So in this case, we have metal energy, and as long as we have metal energy in our hand, we can use Magnetic Circuit to just play it and play as much in our turn as we want. Also has a pretty low retreat cost. Honestly, don't know how this thing doesn't have like 3, but it's perfectly fine. Zap Cannon does 130. It's not going to be your go-to attack, but it is a one prize attacker, and it does hit for 130. This is definitely something I would take into consideration greatly with and attempt to do some stuff. We're also playing 3 copy of the Solid Unit Magnemite. There are some Pokemon that still snipe out there, so having bench protection and not having to play Mew is just a good thing. So this Magnemite, though there is something to be said about playing a electric type one because of different weakness, and you don't have to worry about just getting knocked out right away by a fire type. You definitely want the one with the ability because it's just good. And for our last support Pokemon, Lucario Melmetal Tag Team. So this is in the deck literally just for the GX attack. It's a backup attacker, sure, but I would rather use pretty much any of the other Pokemon in the deck to attack with. So unfortunately, we are playing it for just the GX attack. For the rest of the game, your metal Pokemon take 30 less damage from your opponent's attacks. So, in combination of that, Hard Coat, and Metal Goggles, we're hoping to reduce all damage from the game by 90. If you have an extra energy attached to this, you also get to discard all of the energy off of your opponent's active Pokemon. So I guess if you're having a slow start, maybe getting 2 on this is not the worst thing in the world, especially because manually retreating and getting energy back is really easy in this deck with Mount Coronet. We retreat, we recover a few energies, and then we immediately put it back down with Magnezone. So it's not too difficult to get working overall, and that's that. So that's the Pokemon. We're going to get into the trainers. I'm going to tell you right away that this and this are the ones that are in here, bringing us to 62. I do actually want to also mention that another card I've really been liking lately is this right here, Brock's Grit. So we'll talk about that as well, because I completely forgot to put that in the thing. Other cards that I don't have on TCGO that are worth a quick mention are Cherish Ball. They allow you to search your deck for a GX Pokemon, but only GX Pokemon. And then we also have Reset Stamp, which is going to be coming out, which is pretty much an N effect for your opponent only, and it's super good in the late game, obviously. So just a quick shout out to those. So I can't present them on the screen. Let's get into the trainers. So Acrobike is kind of like pretty decent draw support. There is better options than just running Acrobike, but it does allow you to play recklessly with the metal energy. Being able to discard those and just getting back with Mount Coronet is just a pretty good thing if you want to go that route. It's okay. I tried it before. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's worth a quick mention. Next quick mention is Switch. If you are going to not run Custom Catcher, I would recommend running a couple copies of Switch, because this card is really just good in the new format. We have a lot of big guys. 2 retreat cost, another 2, 4, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1. There's a couple of big guys that are going to have some trouble getting out of the active spot. I've already established that it's not the end of the world if we have to manually retreat because of Mount Coronet in this deck, but we don't want to if we don't have to. So running a couple copies of Switch is definitely going to be for the best. Next up, Brock. I know I'm getting out of order, but Brock. Shuffle 6 of any combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. So this is not so great for your energy because it's going to go into your deck. I mean, yeah, you can draw into it, but with Mount Coronet, it's probably safer in your discard pile. But this is definitely going to help us get Slowkings back in those Fire-type matchups. It's going to help us reestablish a 4th or 3rd Melmetal in case we prized anything. Help us get maybe Magnezone back, or if we had to discard Lucario Melmetal or something. It's very useful, but at the same time, it's going to maybe get in the way of keeping energy in the discard pile with Mount Coronet. So that one's kind of on you if you feel like you might need the little bit of extra support. And honestly, even if you have like that, you could drop this down to like 3-2 or 2-2 and probably be okay. But moving on to the actual cards in the deck. So, Custom Catcher. You have to play 2 of these in order for this to work. It's the Gust effect. This is our only Gust effect other than like... No, I think this is about it, right? Because we lost Escape Rope and Lycanroc and Guzma. So this is basically it. Unless you have some weird Pokemon ability that's going to require evolution and energy discard, this is what we have. So if you play 1, you get to draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. Big whoop. It's not really super great. It's good in a pinch, but you would rather be playing 2 because you want to try and get a knockout of one of your opponent's Pokemon while they're setting it up. We're in a very awkward format right now. So yeah, this is a card that I don't necessarily like too much in the deck, but it's in here because it's our only Gust effect, if that makes sense, right? And you can't just play the 2, because if you prize 1, then you only have 1 in your deck, right? So you have to play the 4, which means then it's clunking up your deck a little, and it's a pain to get going, and unless you have cards like Green's Exploration that are just going to grab it for you, and then you have to worry about having, you know, Pokemon in play that have abilities and things, it's a mess. So I don't necessarily love it in the deck, but it's in the deck because it's Gust, and that's purely it. I would honestly just recommend swapping them out for switches, maybe an extra candy if you want it. Rock's great. So that's entirely up to you. Next up, we have 3 copies of Pokemon Communication. We got a lot of Pokemon in the deck. It's going to be very likely that we're going to be able to use this to grab the correct Pokemon that we're going to need. We have no Pokeballs left in the format that are really good. And other than Cherish Ball, which is only going to grab us 2 of our Pokemon, this is a great way to maybe, I don't know, get rid of the slowking we have in our hand for the Magnezone so we can rare candy it, or grab the Melmetal so we can evolve. So it's just a good item card to have. Next up, we have 3 copies of Rare Candies. This is going to pretty much just be for Magnezone, because nothing else can benefit from it. But this obviously is going to help us get Magnezone into play, so we don't have to evolve into Magneton. Also, something that can be said about you can play like a 1 Magneton line in here if you want, and then evolve Ditto into Magneton, so that way you have a 3rd option of getting out a Magnezone, so that's fine. 3 Mount Cornet, it seems like it's obvious that we want 3. 4 seems like it might be a little too much, but 3 definitely seems just about right. Counter Shadium works out very well for us. I love the card. 3 copy of Cynthia. Very good draw support, and it is always going to be very useful. 3 copies of Lily, because turn 1 Lily is something you just can't go wrong with, and just trying to get some more cards is always a good thing. We're playing 2 copy of Mullane, I think. I don't know. Mullaney? Mulady? You can play this if you discard 2 Metal Energy from your hand, and then you get to target a trainer card from your discard pile and put it into your deck. So that's good. Maybe honestly just even drop the second one. I don't really ever use it, honestly. And if I do, it's very niche circumstances. It's like, oh, I can get a rare candy out of this. Or I can get Metal Goggles back in the deck. Oh, I had to discard a Custom Catcher earlier. Let me put a Custom Catcher back into the deck. It's fine. Maybe drop this down to 1 if you even want to consider playing it. It's like a Metal exclusive. Maybe just even go with Brock Skirt at that point. It's a really just our best Pokemon and energy regain card at the moment. Next up, we're playing 2 copy of Red's Challenge, because this is computer search. This is basically new Ultra Ball. It's Ultra Ball in supported form. So, best card we have, honestly, for searching our deck for something. I don't really see a whole lot of people play it. I think people just think it's too slow. I definitely can understand that, but that's that second Custom Catcher in your hand. That's that second... not second. That's your rare candy for Magnezone. That's your Magnezone for the rare candy in your hand. Maybe that's the Metal Energy you need to attach for a turn. Something along those lines. Red's Challenge is definitely going to help out the deck a lot. Next up, we have not four copies. I was looking at the custom catcher. 2 copies of Tate and Liza. This is either going to be a switch effect for you or a shuffle and draw 5 card effect. Either way, it's not bad. I've always really just thought this card was going to be good. It wasn't super good last season. It saw a little bit of play, right? But yeah, this is great for a new format, especially when we have guys that have 4 retreat costs. I mean, come on. 4 copies of Metal Goggles. I think it's pretty straightforward. This is significantly just better than Metal Frying Pan because it has an additional benefit that Metal Frying Pan doesn't, in which your opponent's abilities can't put damage counters on the Pokemon this is attached to, which is just really nice. But it does exactly what Metal Frying Pan does. It reduces damage by 30, so that's fine. That's good. And lastly, we're playing 13 copies of Metal Energy because 12 seems like it's not enough, because if you think about it from an attacking standpoint, each of your 3 Melmetal will need 4 to attack, and that is essentially all of your Metal Energy. And then you also have to consider prizing things and just, you know, not being able to access them. So 13 seems like a pretty good number. You can definitely get away with 12. I like the number 13 here, though. I think it's definitely very good. But if I'm being perfectly honest with you guys, if I were to play this for you, I mean, we have to wait until you know, rotation happens. But I would honestly just say get rid of Custom Catcher. Again, it's only really in here because it's our only Gust effect. So I would probably go with maybe 2 or 3, and you can just fill in like whatever you would want from there. You know, maybe if you feel more comfortable with 4 copies of Mount Coronet, go for it. If you want that 4th rare candy, go for it. You know, it's there's definitely a little bit of room for some stuff. Maybe if you even want to put the 2nd copy of Lucario Melmetal in the deck, I don't think it's a necessity because, you know, it's not that great of a card. But, you know, again, you know, it's totally up to you. There's some wiggle room here. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, you could leave a like, comment, or subscribe. It would definitely help out the channel a whole lot. And until the next post-rotation video, I will see you all next time.